Welcome to CHROs annual conference, Awake, Aware, Arise. Today we are discussing the new normal, and we have a group of amazing ladies from different parts of, all of us are from India, I think, right, Suman? Yeah. Okay, Suman, Dr. Suman Nair, she is the moderator for today's panel discussion. She is a founder director at Enneagram Academy of India and managing director at Aditya Training and HR Consultants Private Limited. I would now welcome Dr. Suman to take it over. Hi, Dr. Suman.
Hi, Smita. Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
So it's wonderful to have such a great panel. All of them are very experienced HR professionals, and we are very lucky that we were able to find all of them at the same time to come together to have this conversation. So thank you, ladies, for being here. I will quickly do a brief introduction to each of the panelists, and then we will take on the conversation ahead. We have with us Ms. Mona Cherian. Mona, would you like to just say hello? Thank you.
Hi.
Mona Cherian is the President and Group Head Human Resources at Thomas Cook India Limited. And she has more than 30 years of experience in human resource management and training. And she has a totally, truly global perspective of human resources. And over the years, she has contributed tremendously to many organizations around talent development and worked very closely with executive leadership teams. And we will ask her also from the perspective of her industry, what does the new normal look like and how has it affected the employees within her organization. Next, I would like to introduce Ms. Kripa Krishnamurthy. Kripa, hi. Ms. Kripa Krishnamurthy is the head of HR, consumer business with Citi. She is spent a good amount of time working as an HR leader. She's also focused on business partnering, HR digitization, organization development across the financial services and B2C consumer services organizations. And she's closely worked with the C-suite within these organizations. And she comes from especially the services and the banking and that kind of an industry. So we will be talking also around the new normal in that space. Thank you, Kripa, for being here. We now have also Ms. Heather Saval Gupta. Heather, can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Heather, I know you are not from India, but you're so much now a part of us that I agreed to Smita saying we're all from India. So welcome, Heather. Heather is, an HR leader who, is currently working with the Laulintas group, and she brings the entire perspective around the advertising, social media, what's the new normal in that entire industry. I've known Heather for a good amount of time. She's also an executive coach. She's a constant learner, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of perspectives from her. Thank you, Heather, for being here. I would like to introduce Dr. Sujata Sudhindran. She's the head human resources at Aditya Birla Finance. Hi, Sujata.
Hi,
welcome, welcome. And Dr. Sujata has her PhD in psychology, and she heads the human resources function at Aditya Birla Finance and Housing Finance. And she takes care of both strategic and operational HR. Over more than 20 years, she's been contributing to the HR function. And she's very closely working on various aspects to draw roadmaps and enroll people into these roadmaps around organization development, talent assessment, succession planning, and also the policy formulation. So thank you for being here, Sujata.
Thank you.
And we have Ms. Sunita Karthikeyan. Hi, Sunita. Sunita is the head of human resources at Quest Workforce Management, and that's a completely different perspective by itself. So I'm really glad that she could be with us today. So Sunita brings, again, close to 20 years of experience, and she's the global HR head for Quest Workforce Management business. And she leads all aspects of HR for the organization. And, it's almost like end to end of human resources management that she's currently taking care of. So thank you, Sunita, for being here. And ladies, it's such a privilege for me to have this panel discussion with all of you. Let me start off by asking you first, maybe personally, how have you managed this current situation, the lockdown, the pandemic? What have you been able to do with yourself? So maybe we can start with that. Mona, would you like to start sharing something around this?
Okay, sure. So March 18th was the day we started the lockdown for us. And the first thing that happened when you have the lockdown is that you don't have household help.
Yeah.
Unless you have a live-in, which I didn't. So what has happened in the last maybe 7 months is I've learned to survive without help. And I think that I look at that as a major achievement, because usually we're used to a whole lot of work happening by our support staff, and now I've learned to do it myself. That's one. I always loved cooking, and the 7 months, I think I have cooked up enough food for an army in different ways. I've tried all the herbs and spices which I've bought with my travels over the years, and kept it in a nice cupboard or in the freezer, and never looked at it because I didn't have time to. But in these 7.5 months, I've invented recipes. I've used a lot of the ingredients I had. I've also developed a hobby in ceramic mug painting. So I've done a little bit of that. So I think it's been very fruitful. I mean, I found time to do all the things I wanted to do. Maybe not all, but a large amount.
Wonderful. Thank you. Heather, how has it been for you?
Well, unlike the majority of India, I actually do have help at home who have been with me through the entire period. And I think what that's done is given me a newfound respect for them. I mean, we've always treated them as sort of part of the family, but I've really understood how tough this stuff is, because I've taken over the cooking at the weekends just for fun. I also love to bake, so I've been churning out all these kind of different things for the kids, and I take that upon myself every weekend to do. Cleaning, not so much, a little bit here and there. But I think what I've been trying to do is really, from the beginning, try to use this time as productively as possible. So I've always tried to put a very positive spin on it. What it's enabled me to do is spend more time with my kids, who are quite young. I've done a fair few learning initiatives, which I probably wouldn't have been able to do. So I've certified in some stuff, and I've finally, after 17 years of being here, actually taken proper Hindi classes, which is killing me, but I'm doing that. Trying to exercise every day. I've joined an online thing. I have classes from the office, also yoga classes. So just trying to squeeze as much as I can out of this time, because I am very sure that we will look back on this time once it's all done and the madness has subsided, and say, oh my God, actually that was kind of an amazing time in many ways, because there are positives, right? So I want to try and look back on this and say, I think I did use this meaningfully. So that's my.
Thank you. Thank you. Kripa, what would you like to share, please?
Well, if Mona did cook up a storm, I think I cleaned up a storm. So that's primarily what I've been up to in this 6 months. We also went through what is, let's say, the topic of the day. So I did have a personal situation around that where we had a family member who was home quarantined around it. So did see that part of it as well. And I'm glad to say we are on the other side without any major challenge, right? So I guess, and what I want to share in the spirit of the positivity is the 4 P's that I learned, right? So maybe the first thing is preventing, right? You obviously try and prevent the situation. But if you're unable to get there, the second is really be prepared for it, because with dual careers and kids at school, you want to keep a semblance of normalcy if indeed the situation does come to pass. So I think being prepared is the second sort of P. The third is be pragmatic. Really, once the situation is on you, if you're well prepared, you take a pragmatic step to dealing with the situation. And then once all of it is over, it's not easy. They say that the disease sort of takes the weakest spot and hits it hardest. So really move past, right? And it takes some time in doing it. And I did want to share this because I think it'll help a lot of people over here where you have a professional sort of a situation, but equally there is no escaping in some ways the real situation at hand for many people, if not some. So really the last P is move past, right? So I would say that's really what I wanted to share from a perspective of this one. And lastly, I've also done a lot of interesting stuff over and beyond work, of course, the challenges of which we will discuss. And some of it very similar to what Heather and Mona shared. Suman, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kripa. Yeah, it helps, right? If you just have like 4 Ps and 3 Fs, and it gives a structure and it's easy to remember. So thanks for putting that together. Sujata?
Yeah, I started going to office, I think, from first week of May. And I saw Bombay is beautiful. No traffic. But what we did was 2-3 things. One, apart from going to office, is what we did, Suman, is at home. We had a simple Excel sheet, what each one of us have to do. Right. I preferred 1 pot, 1 shot meal. As simple as that. So I know that I have to not compromise on my workout. So wherever possible, even the parking area where I could have my runs, I would run, or I would do my exercise. No compromise on that. I love plants, so I started growing more plants. I started making my own compost. Now I have the second batch of compost ready. So I'm happy that I could manage my kitchen waste. And third thing, because our office was extremely hectic, now, MS Teams becomes the hero or the heroine, and from morning to night, you have very tight schedules. So, that whatever you have to do, you have to complete everything by 9:15 in the morning and just log on, and it'll go late in the evening. So I did one thing different. I said, I'm going to learn something, and I started getting a little into analytics. So now you have the time. In that little half an hour, 20 minutes, I would ask my team member to take me through. So I made life more simple. One very good thing is my wardrobe need not be really reorganized. What are the 4-5 things that you're going to use because you're going to office and hardly with people around you can manage.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sujata. Sunita?
Hey, good morning, everybody. So really happy to be here, Suman. Thank you for that nice introduction that you really gave. So what I did during the lockdown, or the things that I really learned newly is, I learned baking. I think we had a lot of birthdays during the lockdown. So obviously, with a lot of restrictions of buying stuff from outside, one of the things that I learned is baking. So now, even when things have opened up, I really don't go out to buy cakes. So started making cakes for every occasion at home. Of course, tried out on some interesting recipes. While I love cooking for my family, so I had to do away with my cook during the lockdown. So obviously I had to try out on new set of recipes, which I did try. And the interesting thing is my son is also attending classes from home. So the motivation is we get to eat together. The lunch bit is a family time. It's me time with my son. So we do make sure we catch up for lunch together, and the recipes are decided in the morning. I finish my cooking in the morning though. And of course, I've tried to build newer interests also to make sure that one does not get completely bogged down with work, right? It's very important to have that balance. So I've sort of tried to give it a shot on gardening. So I've surrounded myself with a lot of plants, both inside and outside my house. So these are certain interesting things that I've tried to do to keep myself occupied while we're all lost in the whirlwind of transactions, and there is lot of things to attend, and this, I think this time has been very stressful, and it's important that we sort of indulge in some of these lighter things to slightly get distracted, and then certainly take out time for yourself and for your loved ones. So that's what I have done. Over to you, Suman.
I think Suman has lost her connection.
So maybe, Smita, I know one of the things that she did want to talk about is, given that all of us are from the different industries, what are some of the issues that employees are facing? So maybe we can just start discussing it while Suman's come back also, right? So maybe I will hand to Mona for a response on that.
Sure. So Suman is back.
You continue, please. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Suman, we've taken over and tried to start the industry perspective.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kripa. So I come from the travel industry, and my organization has, two main lines of business. One is foreign exchange, which is financial services, and the second is the travel and all travel related services. So while the foreign exchange fell under essential services, and we sort of opened all our branches in towards the end of April and early May, and all our branches were up and running, the travel part did not sort of kick off until first week of August, because there were no flights, no trains, and we did have a very, very difficult situation. At the present moment also, the organization is focused largely on international travel in the past. But now we've just focused on domestic travel, because that seems to be the only way right now. So from learning the new normal and moving in a different way, the organization has taken up something different as a key focus area at this point in time. And when I say different, it's not that we didn't have domestic travel, but we've kind of pushed a lot more focus on domestic travel for the next 3 months. So just to give you, certain areas we focused on, the first basic principle we all agreed on was that we needed to survive. Because as an organization, and lots of travel agencies across the globe are facing a basic problem of survival, because there is no business, and to push for that business is a huge challenge. So survival was the first 1 or 2 months of figuring out how many people do you need, what are the salary cuts you need to do, how do you truly survive in this difficult time. The second part that we needed to work on was, how do we adapt to the surroundings, and how do we adapt to the changing times. So like I said, one of the examples is moving from focus on international travel to domestic travel. That was just one way in which we adapted. Our entire foreign exchange business worked on a branch model, where the logic was individual goes into a branch, exchanges currency, and takes the currency home. In the current situation, nobody wants to visit a branch. So we've sort of enabled a virtual foreign exchange platform, and that has been working successfully from June onwards. So what we are now focusing on is how do we recover? So the first was survive, the second was adapt. And now we are looking at how do we truly recover? And we need to look at recovery in the next 3 to 4 months. And a large amount of our recovery is not dependent on us, but on the circumstances and the surroundings around us. So for example, if flights start, we can recover. But if flights don't start, we can't recover. If, other countries permit Indians to travel or permit other international passengers to come into India, yes, we can recover fast. But if that doesn't happen, how do we look and plan for our recovery? And yes, we've already put some thoughts around how we will recover at some point next year, and it's not definitely not this year. And if we do recover at a particular point next year, how do we thrive? Because we've had a difficult time. We've really reached a situation where we really needed to figure out how to survive. So making some plans around recovery and thriving is only looking at next year. That's it from my side, Kripa. And Suman, now that you're back, maybe you can explore another industry.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
Suman, we are losing you.
Suman, I think we're losing you, so maybe we can have Heather talk about her industry.
Sure. I thought it was me actually, because I'm closing and opening my door. Typical work from home. My kids are in there and they're studying, so I'm trying to balance all the network and how it is, right? So, okay, so the advertising industry has obviously been badly hit. Not as bad as the travel industry, of course, but when you're cutting costs, the first thing to go is likely to be advertising, right? Because in many cases it's a luxury, and some people don't even have any business to advertise, which is the tragedy. So we have been trying to keep our business up. We have reworked on our costs. We all took pay cuts in March at varying levels according to seniority. We're trying very hard to protect jobs and doing the best we can on that piece. I think what's happening for us, because we are under this pressure to get revenue from where we can, and we're pitching a lot, and the boundaries of work-life balance are completely blurring. I think what's happening is that our people are being put under enormous pressure, even more than before, because every pitch we're going for, previously we may have turned some pitches down because we are a very large agency and we don't pitch for everything. Now there's a little bit of dare I call it desperation, that we need to get this money in. So people are really, really feeling that stress, and they're feeling stress when they're at home trying to manage, and all the boundaries of work-life balance have completely disappeared. So there is an enormous amount of pressure on our people from a mental health perspective, like I have never seen before in 15 years of working in HR in India, and my time before that on the business side. I have never seen anything like this before. It's absolutely terrible from a mental health perspective. Okay, that's me.
Sujata, maybe you can go next.
Yeah, luckily, Suman, for us, the business continuity plan, BCP, was a regular review. Whether people believed in it or no, it was scheduled, so we were going to the BCP plan. And I think in mid-Feb, early March, we sensed that something is really going to come and hit us. And because we are in financial services, so we said, first thing what we immediately did is how many people have laptops and how many people needs VPN access. So that was the first thing across Aditya Birla Capital, we took a call. And much before the lockdown was announced, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in March 17th or so, we said, let's ensure that all people will work from home to understand what are the systems and processes that needs to be strengthened and where are the gaps. That is, we did the first thing. Secondly, we said employees, and the first thing we said, employee safety is very, very important. So we appointed very quickly, I think, the flu managers, and we ensured that they undergo training to understand, because there were many people who were coming back from their Jan holidays, coming into Feb and all, so we ensured that the employees are quarantined, ensure, they go through their process of being quarantined. So that we did. And there were very, very clear guidelines for employee safety. And then we said we'll start using the MS Teams. Where we had, concerns is now how do you ensure, because us in financial services, collections is a very, very critical business, and collections in retail is where you have to go and meet the, customer to collect money from his home or office. So how do you ensure your employee is going to be safe, and how will you ensure your customer is safe? So these were few challenges we had, and we then started using a lot of technology and telecalling to ensure. And then I'm sure I think we have Kripa here also, who will talk about the moratorium which is going to come and hit you. So we had to manage multi challenges. And more than anything, Indians, at least we don't work so much from home. We believe in coming to office. And then you had reviews over reviews. So what will happen to the employees' health? And everybody was going to the frontline employee, how much, what's your target, where are you? So that was difficult. So we had to sensitize managers. We also started interacting with the families, so that, and we had doctors who were empaneled, employees and their families can connect to the doctors. Then we started engaging with with the families. That was a good thing that we did. The other challenge we had is we had given a lot of offer letters. What do you do? So we ensured, yes, we will definitely go ahead, honor our people, and we did our induction. And you then suddenly realize that actually technology is an enabler, and we always would believe, a physical meeting is very, very productive. From there, we moved on. Of course, because in lending business, getting back money is very, very important. But we said right now, employee is important, the customer is important. How do you engage with the customer? So you see a CFO, CEO, business head talking to big ticket customers to ensure that yes, we are there with you in this pandemic. So I think we just said it's okay to pause, and you have to take into cognizance everything rather than just rushing for ensuring your the business is safe. We said it's okay, we'll take a pause there.
So I'll take it from there, Sujata, then, while we get, hopefully, Suman, unlucky that your whole locality loses power, but we are all used to those challenges given the environment that we are working on. So, yes, I think in my role, I don't only support the India retail business, but also our global in-housing centers, right? So we've had really, since the pandemic, a range of working formats that have emerged. Just like Mona and Sujata said, our branches, thanks to regulatory guidance and the fact that they're essential services, has necessitated that they stay open and have stayed open pretty much throughout these 6+ months, right? And the second is with reference our global in-housing centers. That I would say that there are sensitive employees because they do work at different shifts, and while one is working from your own offices where your family is not disturbed, but if you're doing another shift which is not conducive to an India timing, then obviously the families do get interrupted in terms of their schedules as well. So we've seen a range of formats, including call centers, right? What about those? How do you ensure that DOT guidelines are kept adhered while people are working from home? So early in the pandemic, I know that a number of legal bodies did allow for a different sort of moratorium on some regulatory guidelines, which quickly we were able to adapt with reference technology and make it possible for people to primarily work from home. So the principle that was adopted was we will keep the health and safety of employees on top of mind, but yet ensure continuity of business and regulatory adherence. And I think the first 3 months were a lot about adjusting to really this new normal. Now, again, we are saying that we will not look at dates as to when people who don't need to return to site. Of course, everybody is working. Productivity indicators are quite good. We've been able to equip and ensure everybody across the organization, irrespective of which format that they're working, are able to be productive thanks to resources and yes, Zoom, is now pretty much installed in everybody's quick technology adoption, right? So therefore Zoom was installed, so on and so forth. But what it is now sort of shifting to is really at the point that Heather mentioned, of course, the continued mental health and well-being of people. Also, I think we have also onboarded in the thousands a number of new employees. How do you culturally assimilate them when most of them have probably not even visited a single office, in some cases even for an interview, right? So how do you manage that cultural assimilation at this point of time? The third piece is also people do want to have career dialogues and ensure that they're deep, meaningful, a sense of hope on what the future holds. I also am a big believer that we will all come through this, but how do I prepare better for when I come through the other side? So what are the career discussions? What are the development discussions? What are the future discussions, I think is the third sort of theme. Of course, all of this in the environment of business uncertainty, right? And at the end of the day, when the industries see a lag, banking sector has a lag in terms of seeing that. So that is something that we are closely monitoring from the risk organization, not just where I work, but across the industry, I'm sure. And again, with consumer spending similar, the sentiment is very different at this point of time. All of you know that we are entering the festival season, but we all know that the spends in the country is not going to be exactly the same. The projections of GDP drop in a country like ours also has an implication in global organizations. So again, the ratings by accredited credit agencies. So like I said, the whole piece of the business uncertainty and prediction, not aside, leaving that aside, there are these themes which come at the employee end as well. So both elements is what we are seeing as we come to the second half, let's say, of the lockdown. But look, I want to, having said that, in terms of the trends in the industry, both banking as well as the global in-house centers, what I want to leave with is a story on something called the Stockdale paradox. As some of you may have heard it. Basically, you can Google it, and I don't want to narrate the whole thing, but basically there was, this is named after a person called Jim Stockdale, where he says, stay optimistic on the outcome, may not be the timeline. And I think I've lived by that one. He was one of those people who were present as a part of the Nazi acquisition, and he survived that. And the way in which he did that was to believe that he would get out. But unlike his cellmates and roommates who believed that it would happen when Christmas came or New Year came, he said that there is no timeline to it, but I will get out. So I think that's the Stockdale paradox. Be positive about the outcome and not necessarily on the timeline. So that's the message that I sort of wanted to leave as we live through this. But back to you, Suman. Maybe Sunita can comment.
Sure, thanks, Krupa. So I'll sort of take over. I don't know if Suman is back yet. So Quest is a HR consulting and staff augmentation company, right? So we've had mixed bag of impact. I think the impact varied for us by vertical and by segment, I would say. So wherever we had frontline workers, I think in those sectors, especially the retail side of it and some bit of BFSI segment, I think we saw an impact. But I think largely with the enterprise, our customers are the enterprise customers. So we did not see much of an impact except for the BPO front. So like all other organizations did go through these challenging times, it was of course very challenging for us as well. As I said, we are a staff augmentation company. I think when it comes to cutting down on cost, the first immediate priority would be to look at your non-full-time employees in your organization. I think that is So that those are the employees who get deployed by Quest in the customer locations. I think we had to really hold on to that very tightly with all our customers. I think thanks to our customers, I think everyone understood the situation and we could really hold on very tightly. So we had, I think, hence our impact has been minimal from a people job loss perspective, etc. So we've also kept people at the center during this pandemic. So we've primarily focused on protecting the health and safety and jobs of our employees. And I think what I feel is critical at the moment is the motivation, because it can erode very, very fast, right? I think employees need more prioritization and focus, a lot of informal connects, mentoring, right? So that they are able to really stay focused, and then sort of they're able to be engaged, and then not really slip down on their productivity at any given point in time, because that becomes the key. The productivity becomes the key, right? So the challenges around the resilience and transformation meant that most customers will continue to invest in technology to thrive in the new environment. So our investment in IT also has remained, and we further see an upward trajectory on that front. So I think today both our customers and employees have settled into the new ways of working. So I still remember those days in early March where we were sort of experimenting, or we were doing a stress test on the work from home to really see how it would really work. We would pick up handful of people and we were mandating them to work from home to see that if we were to really get to a situation of 100% work from home, how are we better prepared for that, right? So we did go through those phases, and I think that stress test in terms of some sort allowed people to absorb the new normal, right? I think so, and then we were able to easily, very seamlessly move on to 100% adoption of work from home. Today, I think less than 10% of our employees work from office, and I think there is any looking back now. We'll never go back to 100% work from office model. So in the long term, we envisage a hybrid model where one would have flexibility to work from either office or work from home. So that's how we're looking at it.
Wonderful. Thank you. And ladies, I'm so sorry. My internet is playing up. So I'm just going to pick up from where you left right now, Sunita. And you actually used all the words that I want to pick up as part of this discussion. So thank you. What I'd like to now do is, instead of asking each one of you to share your thoughts, I'll put up a question, and feel free, anybody, to respond to this, and we could see how the flow can go, if that's okay with everyone. So, before the pandemic, before the lockdown, VUCA as a term was familiar to many of us, and we used the term VUCA, which is everything around us is volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and we sort of used this term to prepare ourselves to the market conditions, to prepare ourselves to the challenges that the business threw up, our clientele threw up, etc. But now we are living through a VUCA. Every day something different is being faced by all of our employees, and which is what now we are calling new normal. My question to all of you is, during this time when there is also a very vulnerable psychological health right now, like Sunita, you also mentioned, the motivation is varying. Productivity seems to be, something which is a little difficult for managers to manage, with all their team members being far away from each other, etc. How are you ensuring that your teams still feel cared for and they are energized to be productive? Mona, you want to share?
Yeah, so one of the things that we did differently as an organization, we were constantly predominantly on face-to-face meetings, visiting our offices, actually visiting branches, and that physical touch point, with everybody was extremely important. Now that we've reached this stage, one of the things that we installed way back in February, because the first wave hit us with China going down, was to install Microsoft Teams. Now, while Zoom is an available software, we connected every person in the organization through Microsoft Teams. And our usual protocol on, you have to be on a meeting and it has to be official, etc., was removed. So we said, if you just want to chat with somebody just for the heck of it, connect on Teams, have fun. We had lots of employee engagement initiatives on Teams. We promoted self-belief with people and optimism, because working from home for everybody is not easy. Not everybody in Mumbai particularly has space. You're staying in a one-bedroom hall kitchen, possibly with 8 members, and while you're on a Zoom call, somebody could just walk behind you, could be a parent, could be a child. It's not easy. So we promoted the use of Microsoft Teams. We taught people how to put a background, so that when they are actually having a conversation, the background is a professional background, or a background where you're not showing what you don't want to show. The second thing we said is that you don't have to go onto video. You can be only on audio, because it may be more comfortable for some people just to be on audio. The third thing we said is involve the family. So we had Antakshari for the family. We had contests of making little films with the family. We had every single week, we had an engagement activity which connected everybody. So make something out of waste, make a video, have posters across the team to have a slogan, and everybody in the team needs to make that poster. Whether it be, play acting something, having stand-up comedy on situations related to work or team goof-ups. We've had that running right through, and it continues to run, whether it is quizzes. Some of it is work-related, so we have travel quizzes, we have process-related quizzes. So it's not all work. It is work and fun, because we realized that we needed people to have that emotional connect. Because the second part, and which Heather did mention, is we needed to right-size the organization. When you right-size the organization, it affects not only those who've had job losses, but it affects those who are also left behind, because they miss those who are not going to be there.
Yeah.
So, making sure that the people who were left behind were also taken care of, in addition to the people we had to unfortunately let go of, was one of the key things that we did through our engagement programs. We've started work in the office now, while we're not insisting that everybody comes into work, because transportation may not be possible for everybody. The corporate office is opened in the first week of September, and we encourage whoever can come into work to come into work with all the safety protocols. So it's a maximum of 30%. And we say kind of come in 3 days a week, 2 days a week, maybe all 5 days. The senior management tries to be there all 5 days of the week. Not necessarily the full day. So a half day is what we're looking at, because we're not encouraging people to eat in the office. And the reason we're not encouraging that is when you eat, you remove a mask. And we did not want that to be done in the office. So we've been very clear in saying, don't eat in the office. If it's tea and coffee, you're removing it for a short period, so that's okay. We've tried to make sure that we've had a back to work, program running right from March onwards. And every milestone, depending on how the government changes the regulation, we made sure that our back to work takes care of that. So that's what we've sort of done for the new normal. Wonderful. And managing the current situation.
So actually, I want to build on this. I'm sure all of you in your own organizations have done this kind of engagement. But my next question adding on to this is particularly around the emotional aspect, because the anxiety, the fear of the pandemic itself being high, and the numbers are high, even in Bangalore, in Mumbai, and all these places. So also, how are you managing that? If one or two of you can also, along with talking about the engagement, also share what are your efforts towards providing that psychological safety kind of a thing for your employees.
So Suman, if I can go.
Sure.
So
Heather, I'll just come to you, Heather, after Sujata. Yes, Sujata.
So first thing, for us in Aditya Birla Group, Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla, he addressed people. He said, don't worry, your jobs are all safe. People who have been with us working well will continue to be. I think that is the first psychological safety net that we had provided, that there's no job loss because of COVID. I think second, we quickly tied up, amongst ourselves across the group, and we identified the doctors that we have within our fraternity. We ensured that people who are, we had an employee safety book that was circulated. These are the symptoms, and we had our empaneled doctors also with us. And then because of the flu managers, we said if any employee or employee's family members unwell, which hospital we can help the employee to go and get themselves admitted. Apart from that, we also gave them COVID leaves. I think that is very, very important. And then every day morning, from an employment engagement perspective to the families also, we had, a lot of yoga and other things happening. In the evenings, we started engaging with the families. And because you're working from home, and rightly, as even Mona said, your houses are small, and then if you have your kid, coming behind you, we are saying it's fine. Remember, it is their spaces that we are taking. We are intruding into their privacy. So it's a great opportunity for us to definitely, interact with your kid. The kid will, after 10-15 minutes, over a period of 2-3 days, will get bored listening to these conversations. I think we did that. And one very good thing also what we did is, Suman, we said, it's time for us to do disruptive innovation. So we asked all people, now come back and say, if you'll have to disrupt and, have an innovation in systems and processes, what it would be. I think that, help people to break down silos, and they started working with branches because they wanted the best innovation. And we said, if you're going to do this, definitely you will have your budget. If it's, you'll have a panel and prestigious panel. So I think that gave them a lot of satisfaction. And even for high potential employees and all employees, once you start engaging, especially branch visits, otherwise, by the time you get a branch visit done, you have to travel even to Pune, 5 people's calendar coordinating stuff. Here it's very clear, that this is what you want to talk about. And we actually emotionally became very, very close. See, over a period of time, you know how to manage yourself. If somebody wanted an off, we had silent hours. We said morning this time, we'll no log in. I mean, people will all log in at 9:30, 1:30 to 2:30 or 3, whatever it is, please. And people who had to go step down, please let your manager know. So I think it's very important empathy, especially for managers, who are not used to empathy, sales driven target. Empathy is very important. I think that helped them also. While they were going a little overboard, but you bring them, they understand. Yeah. And I think, it's very, while I'm not trying to be gender focused, I think guys were very happily, making so many dishes and flaunting on, we have our own group saying this I tried and this I did and I helped my wife and kids all, working together. That was fun. I think it is very important to be positive in such situations. And we provided buses to our people, completely sanitized buses. We said, if you all want to come, you all do come. So that was what we did.
Thank you, Sujata. Heather, you wanted to share something?
Yeah, I mean, we're still completely work from home, 600 employees across the organization, and we have no visibility on bringing people back either. So it's in that situation. I think there are a couple of elements which are so important in dealing with these emotional issues particularly. I think one is creating a sense of belonging. And the other one is the practical support areas that people have. So that sense of belonging is really important because people need to feel they're part of a bigger organization or a bigger family, that we're all in this together. We can all sort of share our experience. So to facilitate that belonging piece, I mean, my HR team, I have 12 of them. So we divided all the employees. We took 50 each and we've called them, rotating between us. We've called them all, I think, 3 or 4 times. We've also done very deep dives So we've had a lot of conversations, and in those conversations, when people open up, they actually often say, you know what, I feel so much better. Just talking about this has just made me, my mental space is just feeling so much more positive. We've also, today we've just launched mental health support groups, resource groups, where we're just getting together, depending on the interest, we may break it up into smaller groups, but just literally to share and open up. And then we can provide more concrete support if we need to. We ran a mental health awareness month in the month of August. Just again, getting people to share. So there's that sense of I can share, I can open up and support. In terms of support, we have a counselor, as most companies have, which we are enabling people to speak with. We also have a trust. So that trust has actually given financial support to people. So at a time when everyone's cutting salaries, which we also did, we're also giving back in some way. So people, I think they each got over £1 lakh of rupees. Now, if your monthly take home is quite low, I mean, many people have, 20, 30,000, 40, 50, whatever, that's a big chunk. And we've sort of taken it over some months. So there's a little bit extra to support you if you need to get a test or you need to do something. And in cases of extreme medical situations, that trust will fund. So even if your bill is coming, I don't know, lakhs of rupees, once you've exhausted your medical claim, then the trust actually will pay your hospital bills. Again, up to limits, but there's a good, I think it's about 10 lakhs is the limit. So there's a good amount of support. And then a couple of our people have had really severe medical situations. One of our people is going through, his 5-month-old baby is going through a liver transplant. So the trust have supported, and all our employees have also pitched in and actually donated money through crowdfunding. So again, there's a feeling of belonging. So that the Lintas spirit, as we call it, is already strong, but has been very strongly ignited by our being very proactive in reaching out to people. And all the usual yoga and this, that, and the other. I mean, tons of stuff happening, but very focused on the reach out piece.
Wonderful. Thanks, Heather. Kripa, would you like to take the question that is there in the chat box? And the question is, Harish is asking, how have you experienced the blurring lines between work and personal hours? Any organizational wide recommendations to employees and advice to leaders? And any review of how this is being experienced?
No, absolutely, right. And that's been the dialogue we've had several times, both in business management committee meetings as well as within HR management committee meetings, to say that there is no start to end time. Traditionally, we had some of these rituals, which were transition rituals. Your drive to work, you pick up a coffee, you step away for lunch. All of that seems to have completely gone away, and nobody really knows who's when at lunch and calls at all points of time, especially if you're working across geographies, early morning followed by late night. Some of this, of course, existed in the past as well. But one of the things that has happened is that we are all much smaller, which is a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because I have not attended so many Zoom calls with my overseas colleagues as I have. So in a way, the world has become a little bit smaller, but that also means that the assumption is everybody's pretty much at home, so can take calls at any point of time. And again, public holidays are very different in India, whereas how they are elsewhere. So I think this has been a key and continuing dialogue for the last 3 odd months everywhere, if I can say. One of the things that we sort of experimented with is really developing something called work from home enablers, right? And again, it will not land similarly given the variety of businesses which exist, but simple things like blocking out a lunch hour, right? Having no meetings beyond a particular point of time, right? Unless and until there was an emergency. So do not schedule beyond 7 p.m. And again, all of this needs to start at the top, right? In a manner of speaking, it is not that our goals have reduced or our priorities have reduced, right? In the regulatory sector, audits are going on as required. So none of that has altered. Earlier, what you could just walk into a room and solve in a 2-minute chat now becomes a half-an-hour block on your calendar, right? And there's no other way to sort of interact. So the pulls and pushes of these two priorities Okay, some acronym I mentioned, I don't know what I mentioned. If somebody can point out what it was, I'll tell you the expansion. But yeah, the pulls and pushes of the continuing goals and the new format of work has been indeed a challenge. And what we've done is given a menu list of work from home enablers to ensure that people are able to try and create those transitionary rituals, right? For instance, dedicate a specific area of work where you will work every day, dress for work, right? And we have created something called a boot camp, which really gives you some of these basics of how do you prepare your workspace, how do you negotiate that conversation with your line manager to say that this is broadly the time that are my key hours. And that could vary, right? I mean, it could vary for somebody who's cooking for the family versus somebody who is dealing with classes which are primarily in the mid of the day versus somebody who's taking care of an aged parent, right? So, and this is gender agnostic. So how do you have a dialogue with your line manager to say that this is how I want to set it up, right? And the last is really, how do you continue to have communication around your goals? What are your milestones, right? The goals are not changing. Can the milestones change, right? What is the additional support that will be required for that, right? How can you do a 5-minute conversation? It's going to be on WhatsApp. Is it going to be on a chat window? What is it? So sort of calibrating those work process, work goals, conversation. I think those are the three sort of elements that, you know, needs actually teaching, right? Because it's not, it is a new normal. And so we did do this boot camp, which is like a 2-hour online program. And it helped everybody think through some of these mechanics to make it a little bit easier. So I hope those help, Suman, and I
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kripa. I would love to get all of your perspectives on this question, but I'm also mindful of the time. You know, if there's any other question, any of the, you know, audience want to ask, please do write in the chat box. My last question to the panel, and anybody can pick this up, is, you know, the entire development aspect of employees, managers, leaders, you know, the kind of focus that many of your organizations put on developing individual leaders and teams, etc. What's happening with that, with so much of focus now on new working patterns, the psychological safety and everything else? What's happening with the employee development, and how much are you really still engaging with the outside community of facilitators, coaches, etc., in this kind of a situation right now? What's your organization doing? Anybody can respond to this, please.
So can I share?
Yeah, sure, Sujata.
So 2 things. One, I think for Aditya Birla Group, we had every Wednesday called the Chairman Series, where our last session, I think we had about some 17, 18 series. Our last session was with Dr. Ram Charan. So it was across the globe, and that was a session that all of us were looking forward to, the best, thought, great thought leaders. We had those sessions. And I think the entire learning and development took an upswing because it's completely digital. Yeah. So we went role by role and said, how is this role now, being disrupted? So what is the new skill that you need to learn? And that's how I got into the analytics part of it. So we went skill by, role by role, and we said, if this role is going to be redundant, considering the current situation is going to continue, what is the new skill that we have to learn? And then the managers, had to first complete the course and then ensure the team members go. So I think the L&D, very good that you reminded us, Suman. I think that took a complete upswing, and because it's a group, it became relatively easy. Yeah. And we had a lot of, thought leaders who came. For example, a compliance leader, a risk leader. He was addressing the entire ecosystem of employees. Now you'll understand risk much more better, compliance a little more better. So yeah. I think that was an extremely engaging session for us. So we are looking forward for every Wednesday. Now, who is the next thought leader who you're going to meet?
Right. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I can't agree any less because I've become very, very, very busy during this time. So, yeah. Anybody else wanted to
So
share on this?
Suman,
Yes.
I sort
Yes,
of
Savita.
add on. I think while Kripa also touched upon this in terms of how line leadership plays a very critical role in driving certain key agenda in the organization, right? I think what we did, we realized that early on, at the onset of the pandemic. So what we did was we sort of stitched a session for all our leaders as to how leaders can best enable the more and the less for our employees. Right? So employees, so in this crisis, what is that employees need more? They need prioritization and focus, informal connect and mentoring, medium-term planning and mobilization, rewarding. So we sort of coached our managers to make sure that their focus goes on these things, which is what employees need more. Employees need less, right? Getting overload, right? I think all of us can relate to it. Scattered scheduling is something that employee need less, and reporting on the noise at the expense of what is critical. So we consciously made sure the managers are coached in making sure there is focus in engaging and enabling their people, right? The more and the less concept is something that we drove. So that's something we which has really helped us, and then also, giving me time to the employees. I think Krupa again touched this in terms of ensuring there are no meeting zones after say 6 p.m. in the evening, and similarly making sure we don't disturb each other during the lunch time. So for an hour. So these are some of the practices that we've consciously led in our organization, which is sort of really helped us be there, steering through the situation.
Wonderful. Thank you. Maybe we can take one more sharing. Anybody else wants to share on this? Okay, so I was just checking if, okay, there's another question on the chat box. What are you all doing to motivate or provide space to the employees to feel confident to getting back to work? So let's take this as the last question for this discussion. Heather, would you like to respond to that?
Sure. Actually, when I read it, I immediately thought of emotional confidence. But I guess the question is also about physical confidence, right? Because those two things are also important. I mean, there's a huge requirement for us to give people confidence around the safety and the health element of things, that everything is sanitized, everything is perfect. We can't control their journey to work, unfortunately, but once they're inside the building, of course, we can control that. But the other piece is the emotional confidence, right? Now, even though people are working 24/7, I even can't imagine a situation where I'm just going back and walking up to people and sort of having conversations with them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to involve a lot of preparation for re-entry back into this world, right? Because we become so used to being behind our screens, sometimes even hiding behind our screens, sometimes putting our cameras off. I mean, right now, if you saw the way I was dressed, like Nietzsche, you'd be like, oh my God, because I'm wearing my gym kit, right? And that's all there. But having to dress up and go to work and look professional and behave professionally and do it from when people are seeing me, it's a little bit of something to kind of get over.
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, I really haven't thought it through properly because we're not even back at the office yet. But now this question has come up. I'm really now thinking about how we can activate that from both of those parameters.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry. There's just one more question Harish has put up in the chat box, and I think it's a very, very important question for us to take. So I'm going to make this the last question, and maybe Mona, you would like to take this. He says, I'm sure there must be some discussions around the emerging business model shift post-COVID. What do you see as the likely impact on the HR strategic agenda going forward? What's new? Is Mona there? Kripa, you want to say?
So three things. I was reacting maybe both to the earlier question and this one, right? So the earlier question, while yes, we need to prepare them, the other is I think the work formats are going to stay, right? So I don't think we yet have a conclusion on how much flexibility right? Because this has given an opportunity for 100% flexibility in terms of time, work, and place, right? So really, how much of this flexibility is going to continue when things return back to a new version of normal, I think is the biggest strategic shift that is going to happen. I mean, if you ask me today, we are very early in the dialogues, very similar to what Heather said. Till December, we're not entirely come back. Our first percentage of return back is going to be 10%. So we are still in discussions on what is going to be the various formats that is going to exist. So I think once that is determined, it will have implications pretty much on all of the HR lifecycle events, right? How are you going to, there can be somebody who's permanently working from home, somebody who is permanently working from office, and an entire range of work formats in between, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, this will have an implication on almost all HR lifecycle events. But I want to talk specifically on the three sort of lifecycle events. One is with reference onboarding, right? How do you onboard somebody seamlessly, irrespective of where they sit, and ensure that you assimilate them again to all the three or more varieties of shift to work, right? And India, and I'm sure it's not just Tech City, you do have a number of millennials coming into the workforce, right? And the proportion is probably higher than any of the other geographies, right? And how are we going to assimilate and equip them to believe that they are corporate ready, right? From campuses. We've had these dialogues several times. So what is the new way? And we've just started thinking through how do we make that happen? And the second point, which I'm going to talk about, will also have an implication on the first, right? Even strategies for the business are all moving towards tech, analytics, right? So those are really the skills that everybody really needs to have to be able to do well going forward, or do their job adequately going forward. So how do we skill them there, and in what format are we going to skill them? Again, learning platforms have become far much more important. So many training programs on Zoom, learning aggregators like Degree, e-learning has become far much more on the uptake, right? The skills and the platforms are going to see a change, right? You can pick every HR cycle event and talk about the changes which are going to emerge. But I think these are really the three key things: work format shifting, assimilation of really the millennials and people who are coming into an organization for the first time. And the third is equipping them with the skills and the platforms of the future in terms of learning.
Yeah, thank you. I know of many businesses who have probably started a new offering. They have changed the way they've been doing business, and it's all about change all around us right now. I don't even know whether we can call this the new normal, because we don't know what that normal is. We cannot even anticipate how much time this scenario is going to continue. I think it's about each day living through what we are experiencing, what we are facing. And I think equipping the employees with, like Heather said, the physical, emotional, psychological, mental kind of safety net is what I think is required right now. And I also see, as an external coach, this is also the time for us to work together, the businesses, organizations, and development service providers like us, to work together and create those safety nets together for the employees. I think that's really going to be useful. I'm just seeing if there's any comment or question. Yeah, that's true, Natarajan. The newer normal will keep emerging, which is why we cannot possibly say this is it, but this is where we are right now in the present moment. So, and any closing comments from any one of you? Anything you would like to share? Let's keep it brief and Any closing thoughts? Okay.
I think it's all about resilience and empathy, and always crisis will give a lot of opportunities. So while things seem to be negative, I think we have come back to basics. Take care of your health. Take care of your
Yeah.
immunity. Yeah, let's be a little more empathetic. Let's
Yeah.
pause. It's okay to pause, because
Yeah.
if you pause, you'll have the ability to bounce back. And can you do things differently? I think it's fine and fair enough.
Yeah. I think now during this period also, practices like Ikigai or Wheel of Life, and everybody is picking up
Yeah,
all of this, and they are becoming more mindful.
yeah.
Yeah, so wonderful. Thank you all, ladies. And thank you for holding the fort when I had this technology problem, which is also part of the current new normal. And I'm really grateful that you could all make it for this session. And I really got a clear picture of what's happening internally in many of your organizations from you directly. Otherwise, it's all hearsay, and not all the time we get to hear positives. So this is really very nice. And I'm also glad that each one of you are able to utilize this time to, explore new passion and harness a new skill. So thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
Smita, over to you, Smita.
So thank you so much, Suman, and thank you everyone for sharing your stories and sharing your thoughts on about the new normal. I really like what Natarajan said about this is current normal, newer normal will keep emerging.
Yeah.
And also, like, we keep talking about the new normal, that somehow keeps us motivated that we are not alone in this. Right. Great. Again, thank you so much for joining in, everybody. We'll see you again today evening, 7:30 p.m. IST and 9:30 p.m. IST. Two more, discussions coming up. Do join in. Please do invite your family, friends to participate in the Awake, Aware, Arise event. Thank you. Bye all.